Nicolás Maduro stands in a Manhattan federal court today, pleading not guilty to drug trafficking charges. Cut off by the presiding judge, the deposed Venezuelan president declared himself a kidnapped prisoner of war. You have to go back more than 30 years to find a U.S. operation of this scale. In 1990, American forces executed a similar military abduction against Panamanian strongman Manuel Noriega. In the months leading up to his capture, Maduro's paranoia reached a fever pitch. He rotated his sleeping locations nightly and built a reinforced steel safety bunker deep inside his palace. He also overhauled his personal security, surrounding himself with 32 elite Cuban guards. To prevent his physical coordinates from leaking out, he stripped these guards of all cell phones and electronic devices. Yet, when U.S. Delta Force operators and Task Force 160 helicopters descended on his compound in the middle of the night, under the bright illumination of a full moon, they faced virtually no resistance. The steel bunker wasn't even used. Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, were pulled straight from their bedroom. Flores appeared in the New York courtroom alongside him, bearing bandages on her forehead and temple from the raid. An impenetrable, heavily armed fortress was breached without a major firefight. When physical defenses failed this completely, they were likely opened by the people paid to maintain them. Starting in August, a covert CIA team in Venezuela built a pattern-of-life profile, tracking Maduro's movements and safe houses. But outside observation has limits. Constantly changing locations, the CIA hit a digital wall, needing human assets to map inside his perimeter. The catalyst for that access was a staggering financial incentive. The U.S. government placed a $15 million bounty on Maduro, which later surged to $50 million for information leading to his capture. According to emerging reports, that money clacked the inner circle. Maduro's own personal driver and one of his closest bodyguards allegedly fed U.S. forces the exact coordinates and security arrangements required to bypass the compound's defenses. The informants were reportedly left stranded in Caracas. Because the U.S. classified the operation as a direct military raid rather than a standard law enforcement arrest, officials have indicated the $50 million reward will not be paid out. When a leader presides over an economy hollowed by hyperinflation, massive U.S. bounties become irresistible. You simply cannot build a bunker thick enough to keep out the deep financial desperation of your own staff. While the physical security failed at the ground level, the political transition was managed at the top. Following Maduro's extraction, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez survived the purge and was quickly sworn in as the new interim president at Miraflores Palace. Rodriguez wasn't a passive bystander. Sources indicate she and her brother held secret discussions in Qatar, planning a post-Maduro Venezuela. Her network utilized high-priced American lobbying efforts as well. Associates of Rodriguez actively sought out prominent U.S. politicians, including Senator Marco Rubio, attempting to broker deals behind the scenes. While she publicly condemned the military raid to the Venezuelan press, her backroom pivot was immediate. Within days, she invited respectful relations and direct collaboration with the Trump administration. To secure her new position, she swiftly fired the commander of the Presidential Guard, completely dismantling the last remnants of Maduro's personal security apparatus. Executing a regime decapitation requires a coordinated squeeze. You need the bodyguards to open the door, and the political elites ready to step into the vacuum the moment the leader is pulled out. This highly complex, legally questionable abduction begs an obvious question. Why execute this raid right now, risking massive international blowback? The answer lies thousands of miles away in the Middle East, where escalating U.S.-Iran military tensions threaten open war. If a conflict in Iran shuts down the Strait of Hormuz, global oil supply gets completely choked off. To prepare, the U.S. required a massive alternative source of heavy crude. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves on the planet. President Trump's stated intent to run Venezuela is a calculated contingency plan. It aims to secure global energy lifelines ahead of a potential crisis in the Persian Gulf. Financial bounties and diplomatic backchannels can flip an inner circle and remove a head of state overnight, rendering traditional ground invasions unnecessary. Snatching the sitting president from his bedroom is highly effective in the short term, but normalizing the military kidnapping of world leaders sets a precedent where sovereign borders no longer offer protection against unilateral removal.